Hi everyone, lovely Friday to everybody. I hope your day has been, better than mine. My day has been, pretty under average because it's Friday, Prestige Cup car day, and I had to open about 12 crates to just get my BMW M5. Now, that aside, I'm actually not going to be talking about CSR2 today. I'm going to be talking about Carousell, which is a local online marketplace here in Singapore, and it's in Australia as well, and I believe some other Asian countries. So the issue here is that why people have a negative view on Carousell. And it's a bit sad because the concept of Carousell is really great, like Craigslist, because that's what it is, the Asian version of Craigslist. So basically, you put a listing for a service you're offering. Maybe you're looking for a job, wanting a job, or you're looking for someone to fill up a job. You're selling something, or as I said, you have a service you're offering. So you put up a listing. So what happened today was that I was a victim of harassment on Carousell, and basically the staff doesn't seem to care because it's just so frustrating to experience, number one, such an incident on Carousell, because I've been a user for many years and I have over 100 5-star reviews. Well, not all perfect because no one's perfect, let's be honest. What's the issue here is that, again, the staff don't care. So let me recap for you what happened basically from the very beginning. So I use Carousell a lot when it comes to phone accessories because it's cheaper to buy from Carousell than it is to just go to somewhere like eBay or even the manufacturer and just get a case from there. I typically buy secondhand cases, and as such it saves money, and the person selling it off, they get some money and they are not tied to the item anymore. So what happened was that I was looking for a case for my iPhone 14 Pro Max because I've been using a very cheap and frankly not very high quality case for the past few months, and I just want to treat myself today. So I told myself, hey, why don't you go and get something nice for your phone since you love it so much, because I love my phones. So I went to Carousell and I looked for cases by Mouse, because this video is not sponsored, but I genuinely love the cases that Mouse makes. I personally use the Limitless on my phones, and they are one of the best, if not the best, for both build quality and hand feel. I just cannot see myself using any other case besides those. So I did find a mouse case for my iPhone 14 Pro Max. But what really caught me was that the seller wanted me to provide my personal information before he could deal. Now, in case you are not so familiar with the process of dealing on Carousell, how it goes is that first of all, you agree on a price. Then you agree whether you want to meet up or do you want your item delivered. And if all is basically good, you send an offer, the person selling accepts, and you make payment after that, either via bank transfer if you're doing a delivery, or if you're meeting up in person, maybe you want to pay in cash. So for this one, I wanted delivery because I have a busy schedule. And as such, I again opted for delivery, but he wanted to know my address, which is out of the ordinary because I don't provide my personal information until payment is made and that we've secured the deal. So I told him this, but he didn't want to care. He said, no. Give me your address, give me your name, your phone number, and pay me. Then I'll accept. So you see why this is dangerous, because if he doesn't accept, there's no record that this deal ever happened. In fact, he can just easily block me after taking my money, seeing my address, phone number, and whatnot, and basically just run off. So this is why I always and only deal when an offer is accepted. And since he didn't want to accept the offer and he was really hard-headed about the whole thing, basically I just canceled the deal. I said, nope, I'm not dealing with you anymore. I'm going to find somebody else. And I did. And I'm waiting for that person to get back to me because he's not too familiar with mailing. And basically, I'm just looking for a mouse case, and I just love their cases so much. You know, it's just a relationship thing. So what happened was that I blocked the guy that was rude and basically hard to deal with, and I thought that was it. But basically, he had a second account, and he used a second account to harass me verbally on one of my on sale items, because I was selling a mouse case again, but for my newer iPhone, because I prefer the clear one over the Limitless for my... I can't exactly remember what model that one was for, but he said, wow, you're selling this for $70 and you're trying to buy one for me for $8, because yes, his was $8, but his was a used item in pretty rough condition, I would say. But then again, mine cost $70 because it has barely been used and it's still within market value, and it's very, very well taken care of. You can see the item in person. I can even show it to you guys. I could put some pictures in this recording. I'm not sure where the item went because it has been sitting stale for a few months. But I can assure you, hand on heart, it's in spectacular condition. Almost as good as buying one brand new, which is more expensive and you've got to pay for shipping and whatnot. So he harassed me with this basically unfair comparison. So I blocked him again and I contacted support. Now, I contact support just to have a record of what's happening, because honestly, I don't trust their support at all, because basically their support just doesn't do their job very well. And lately it's just been, well, I wouldn't say mostly, but almost all of it has, well, basically all of it has been AI control, and that's really frustrating because there's no dispute process. If the AI says this person's breaking a rule, not breaking a rule, that decision is just made right there from AI and not an actual person looking at it. And I've been on the receiving end way too much, because I have reported a person making a lot of duplicate listings, trying to get people to see it more, and now I've completely lost hope that they're going to help me at all. And I am really doubtful. I hope I'll be proven wrong, but I'm not getting my hopes up at all. So I did report them. I proved that this person is using two accounts, because the conversation, if you look at what the topic is, and you'll see this person bring up that certain price, which was the offer I made. There's no way anyone would know about this offer unless it's the same person just using a different account. So I'll see what they talk about maybe tomorrow or maybe on Monday, because I don't know, they don't seem to work on weekends. But this leads me to the old stories on Carousell, and why I personally only use it, because there is no alternative on the market. Because here in Singapore, you basically are tied to Carousell if you want something secondhand or you want to sell something off. So my next story starts way back, I believe a few months ago, when I was looking for yet another mouse case because I had another phone that needed one. So I made an agreement with somebody, and I said, yep, the price is fine with me, but can you meet up a train station close to me, just one from him, because I'm living in the east of Singapore and he's in the north. So I'm really taking a bus that's 1 hour long just to get to him. And I just said, can you just make things a little easier and meet one train station from me? And he was really, really blurry about that, so I just assumed he would. So I waited until the day, and the day before we were supposed to meet, he said, no, if you want the item, come to my house, no exceptions. And mind you, this person refused to mail my item, he refused courier, and now he's refusing to meet up in person, one train station from him. Do you have any idea how proud and arrogant this makes him? Because I'm already coming by bus and I have to spend an hour commuting just to pick up this item. I mean, that's already fine, but could you just make things easier so I didn't have to take a train too? From his house, if he took a train, well, it's not even 5 minutes. You can just take a train 5 minutes, meet up, and deal. So he didn't, and basically he badmouthed me in my review section, saying this person is very hard to deal with, And in the end, I sent my mom to pick up the item because I didn't want to see him in person, and I was already not very happy with how he was trying to badmouth me and paint me as the villain in this story, which I absolutely was not, because I don't think trying to ask someone to meet in his favor, and not even halfway, meet in his favor one train station from him, is how that's unfair. And he kept ringing up the excuse, I have a son, I have a young son to take care with, I cannot meet you for that reason. And on that day, his son wasn't with him, it was with his wife. So all that was basically BS. He was just lying to try to get me to meet at his convenience. So this gives you an idea on why people don't like Carousell, because there are lots of these bad apples on the platform. Bad apples that think the world revolves around them, which it absolutely doesn't. The world doesn't revolve around you, and you're nothing more than a speck on the platform. And I'm not saying that I'm any different, because yes, I am a user too, and I too am a speck on that platform. So it was just so frustrating dealing with such a user that I had to basically jump through hoops just to get my item, and in the end get badmouth. So yeah, horror story right there. So the next one, again, so talking about a phone case, but a Casetify case. And funnily enough, that's actually for the iPhone 14 Pro Max that I had a dispute with that user, as I brought up at the start. Because before I even bought a case, I just wanted something that looked good. So I saw him buy Casetify, and yes, I do use Casetify as well, but not as much as mouse. So I did buy the item, and it was mailed to me, and the seller basically told me the item is in great condition, and I took her word for it. And this is another thing you shouldn't do, take people's word for it, because I did, but when the item arrived, it was bent. Now, I'm not trying to say that the item should be in perfect condition, because it's an old device at this point. The 14 Pro Max is coming to 3 years this year. So when I wrote and put a 3-star review on her profile, she contacted me and said that I was being unfair. Now, how am I being unfair when I paid for the item, I paid for its shipping, and I took your word for it that the condition was great and it was bent, so it wouldn't even fit the phone. So until today, it just sits as a paperweight, and that's $30 I'll never see again. So then again, I am a bit hurt by that $30, because I don't work as of now, because I'm waiting for my audition date, and we'll see if I can further my studies in a field that I like. So that's beside the point. And this person rated me at 3 stars, and I dropped my review to 1 star, minus 2 stars for the item being basically unusable, as it was bent, it wouldn't fit the phone. And then I took away another 2 stars because, as I said, she basically tried to badmouth me and saying I was in the wrong. Well, how was I in the wrong when I took your word for it, said the item was in great condition, and said that there was nothing wrong with it, and that wasn't the case, unfortunately. So that's again another horror story, and why basically Carousell has such a bad reputation. And the last thing that I want to bring up, well, if I do not remember any other horror stories, is basically Carousell coins, which are a currency on the platform that you can buy that helps you make your listing more visible. And I don't support this at all, because I'm a free user. I'm not trying to spend money or make money, and I'm not into that concept. So I don't at all buy Carousell coins. I'm a free user, and I have been, and I will continue to be a free user. So the thing is, Carousell has a bias towards those who buy Carousell coins, and it's really unfortunate, because I've seen users with Carousell coins basically just break the rules of the site in horrible ways, because I've seen them make lots of duplicate listings where basically you're just making the listing about the same item just so you can have more people view it and put in different categories. And if I do something similar, and I'm not saying different categories, as long as I post about a similar item, basically I get a warning on my account. And do you see how unfair it is? Because for an example, I do rent my mascot costumes out as a services I provide. Because I have different outfits, I basically have different listings for each and every one. And what I'm being told is that I only can have one. So how's that fair? Someone can post a listing about buying the same Harry Potter item, but I cannot post multiple listings about different costumes that I'm renting. Yet rental companies are able to do that. it boggles the mind, and why I don't have a very positive opinion on Carousell, not much anymore. And I actually just remember another horror story about Carousell, and I just want to bring it up because this was a time where I just wanted to treat myself to a new phone as I was preparing to go for an internship. So I told myself I wanted a new phone, and I basically settled on an iPhone 12 Pro Max. And this was because I just wanted something with a big screen, a big camera, and something that looked good, because I wanted mine in Pacific blue because I do dress up in my Harry Potter Ravenclaw robes from time to time, and having my phone in blue and matching my Ravenclaw robes when I do play a little dress up in my free time, it's just a little touch that just makes me happy. So I did look and get the phone, and unfortunately I did inspect the phone when the sun wasn't very bright. In fact, it was a bit cloudy, so the light wasn't very good. So when I took the phone home and I was going to put a screen protector on top, I noticed the screen was a bit chipped, and when I contacted the seller, he refused all responsibility and basically told me that I was stuck with it. So for that guy, I managed to put a bad review, and well, I did lose about $100 in the process. Basically, it just goes to show that Carousell is just full of basically unscrupulous people, and why, again, the general opinion and consensus in Carousell is mostly negative. And I know all marketplaces are going to have bad apples. I mean, I use eBay a lot, and I've had eBay sellers try to scam me, and I've had items just go undelivered and I had to fight for a refund. But Carousell has a long way to go if it's going to catch up with anybody like the likes of Craigslist, or more appropriately eBay, because what Carousell can do by basically starting that to show that they give a crap about their users is how they can, first of all, quit with the AI customer service. Because as I brought up, or I really cannot remember, was this the recording or was it the previous one, the customer service is AI run, and it's so frustrating because anything that the AI decides is what's final, and I don't have any say in it. I can't even dispute it. I'm just stuck with it. So when I'm told an AI was in charge of determining this, and they determined that that user that I brought up about the Harry Potter making lots of identical listings was not breaking the rules, it's just so frustrating because I don't break those rules. I abide by the rules, not because I can, because if I wanted to, I could play the wording and I could make identical listings too, but it's just wrong to do that. So basically what I do is just abide by the rules. I know it's a bit corny here, but it's just what I do. So what they can do is actually take their rules seriously. If you're going to write up a page full of your site rules and how you want users to behave, why not enforce it properly instead of just putting it there and only enforcing it for those who don't pay coins, like me? Because again, I've seen a lot of those guys with coins just completely break the rules, and I have no faith in the system as such. Because are they saying that if I went to buy those coins, I would be immune to the rules? It's all ridiculous and shouldn't be the case at all. Everyone should be on a level playing field, and that's that. And next up, actual action should be taken against people who genuinely scam. As I brought up that user who sold me an iPhone with a chip in the display that I was unfortunately unable to see because of the lighting, I'm able to provide that in the listing it was basically misleading because this user didn't take very clear photos, and because of the compression on the sites, I couldn't really see it. Even in person, I was unlucky that day. But if I'm able to provide proof that it wasn't me who damaged the device, the least you can do is have some action taken on this user, whether it be a suspension or a termination of their account. I don't care. Something needs to be done to just get these bad apples off the platform, because that's not how the platform should be. I'm pretty sure that if users were behaving like those who I've dealt with and give me 5-star reviews, and then again myself too, because I try to go out of my way to make the other party more comfortable in dealing and not try and trouble them, because if I do trouble them, I do pay them for the trouble, such as paying for a delivery or not negotiating as much when it comes to wanting a discount. I think it's more than fair to do that, and how the site should be run, because as of now, as you brought up, the site is poorly run, the rules are poorly enforced, And now we have basically scammers just running up and down, just violating the site rules, and no one gives a crap. And it's just so frustrating because Carousell, unfortunately, is the only, yeah, I'm not joking, it's the only online marketplace here in Singapore that's used by lots. Because back in the day, Carousell in its infancy was not very popular, but it did gain a lot of popularity because of the ads they were running and just pushing for giving things a second home, a second life. And genuinely, I do believe in how this works, because I too am for all of this, because instead of throwing away an item that I'm no longer using, I can sell it for money and someone else can get my item and use it and give it a longer life. That's great. But again, poorly the site is run is just so frustrating. And to make things even worse, and I'm not trying to brag here, my cousin is the chief financial officer of Carousell, and I've never told this in person because mainly I haven't met him for a long time, and not that I would insult the company he works at, but I just wanted to straight up, without any strings attached, tell him that he's working for a crap company, because a company that doesn't care about its users is a company that I would not support under any circumstances. But again, in this weird limbo state, Carousell is the only online marketplace here in Singapore that most people use, and because of this, it's what most people would just fly to, like flies to a bug zapper. Basically, it's just how things roll. And again, it's so unfortunate because I have been scammed. I have lost money to Carousell and basically these unscrupulous users, and nothing is ever done despite proof being provided. So why do I need to provide proof in the first place if I'm just going to get ignored completely? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I'm pretty sure that if a competitor were to come along and basically give Carousell a run for their money, Carousell will have to basically pull up their socks or just risk losing a lot of their users. Because again, I will continue to use Carousell, not because I enjoy it, but because it's the cheapest option. This is why people typically use Carousell, and not about whether we love the platform or not, because most of us, we're just wanting to look for a good deal, or we're just trying to unload something that we don't use anymore, like an old phone perhaps. Yes, this is why most of us use Carousell. It's not about having fun, meeting new people. Well, some people do see that as a part of Carousell, but not me. I see Carousell basically as a platform for second-hand items, because that's what the whole basis of this site was based on, having a place to sell and buy second-hand items. And I don't see any other point in using Carousell besides this, unfortunately. I'm sorry if you guys may use Carousell, maybe find someone to talk to. I have seen a lot of listings for people just looking for someone that shares interest with them. So this is what I do see, but it's just not the side of Carousell that I would use on a daily basis, because I only go there to look for Harry Potter stuff, number one. Number two, phone cases, and basically look for jobs, because yes, Carousell does have listings about jobs, and I have found one and I've secured one and genuinely looking forward to it. But aside from those ups, there just seems to be more downs to Carousell than ups, and the sheer imbalance is just what I cannot recommend Carousell for. And it's really funny because I do have those surveys that want to know, would I recommend Carousell to friends or family? Why would I? Given the treatment that I have experienced, it's just so funny. Y'all care about recommending when none of the reports that I found are taken seriously, and some even brush me off and saying you should contact the police. So what are you guys for? You're not going to even take any action against the account of the offending person? That's just ridiculous, and I am sorry for just droning on and on and on about this Carousell nonsense, but it's just so unfortunate because the premise of the site and the concept of it, it's really good. You give an item a second life and you can make money, and perhaps you're looking for something cheap and you can help someone on the other end. Or as I brought up, you're looking for a job or whatnot. Carousell's the way to be. But again, with how the site is run, I just cannot see myself using the site in good faith. Because again, I've just had so many horror stories, and I'm just touching on a few in this little tirade because there's just way too many of these, and if I were to go on and on and on about them, it could take me several hours, even a day. I'm not joking about that. I wish I was, but I'm just not. So again, Carousell has just so much potential, but that potential is just all squandered away on basically trying to make you buy Carousell coins, or recommending it so you can have friends and family download it, and ads. And yeah, this is not a problem because ads basically just infest the site. And I'm not talking about one or two ads here or there, because there are two kinds of ads. Ads for services from people who, well, companies that don't use Carousell and just put advertisements all over the place. Well, I do get it, but the fact that they appear every 4 listings you view is just excessive. I mean, once per 12, I think that's more reasonable, but not one breaking up the flow of every 4 listings you see. That's excessive. And the second kind of ad that I'm going to be talking about, listings with a bump, is what they call on Carousell. So this is when you buy those Carousell coins and pay to have your listing more visible because it shows up at the top of the search results more often. This is what I call a bumped listing, and the fact that these are just all over the place and just bury those that are using Carousell for free completely defeats the purpose of this. And before I forget, I will be putting up screenshots of those unscrupulous conversations, well, few that I can capture and just put it up here in short notice. But the other thing that I want to bring up is how Carousell just needs to take down inactive listings, because if you've used eBay, I think eBay is the greatest example. Listings are only up for a certain period of time before they're taken down if they're not purchased, because it clogs up the marketplace, because you're seeing maybe 100 listings, but let's say 20 of those belong to people that don't use Carousell, or something happened that they're not using their accounts anymore, or whatever. That's 20 listings that's really making it confusing, that should I do this person, but you message someone and it ends up this is a dead account, and basically you're never ever dealing with that person, not even buying the item, let alone buying the item. So I just feel that if conversations are not replied to in the chat for, let's say, a month, I think a month is a really reasonable amount, considering that most people take about a day to reply at most. So if you don't entertain someone for a month, 3 times for a listing, it gets taken down. I think that's more than fair, because as of now, if you just, let's say, go and look up, even like I brought up Harry Potter stuff, the toys and souvenirs, you will find a lot of people with accounts that say online over 20 weeks ago. So it's pretty obvious that these people are just not coming back to Carousell. So why keep your listings up if they're clearly not coming back? And if they want to, they should have to reactivate their account. It's that simple, because with these few changes, like you just cut back on the AI automation on customer service, you take reports seriously, and stop giving such a huge margin of difference between someone who buys Carousell coins and someone who doesn't when it comes to abiding the rules. And lastly, as I brought up, taking down inactive listings. I'm sure the site can easily flourish, but as it stands, they just don't care. All they care is about ad revenue, and as long as it's coming in, they'll just leave things as it is, because can they make these changes? Sure, why not? But they just won't. And this leads me to one last thing before I end off this rate of mine, and it's the rate chat feature. Because when you chat with somebody and you want to give feedback on their conduct, basically, you can click this button to rate the chat, whether being friendly, unfriendly, or whatever. But the thing is that this button does freaking nothing, and it's so frustrating that I had to bring it up somewhere, because this button is basically nothing more than a decoration on the screen. You can rate someone positively, negatively, it doesn't matter. Someone can rate you positively 100 times. You can have 100 users giving you glowing praise in that rate chat button. Nothing's going to happen to you. Same thing happens if you get rated negatively. Nothing's going to happen if you get negative feedback. And this is despite Carousell themselves saying that, hey, if you get a lot of positive feedback, we'll give you a reward. But if you get a lot of negative feedback, we'll have to look at your account and perhaps limit it. That never came into fruition, so I don't think they should be continuing with that function if it's not going to do anything. If you're going to keep it there, have it do something instead of just looking pretty. I think that's more than fair. Again, so that's point number 5, and basically the end of how I feel Carousell could improve. Am I going to stop using Carousell after all these horrible experiences? Definitely not, because again, they're the only online marketplace in Singapore that is genuinely very popular, and most people basically, because most people in Singapore have dealt on Carousell at least once, and as such, I'm one of those. I'm guilty, and I will be continuing to use the site as a very loyal Carousell. I can't even use the word loyal anymore because I'm on the site simply because, again, there's no alternative. But if there was one, I would jump ship immediately. And I can bring things in from overseas, but the cost basically just outweighs it, and it's why I typically use Carousell first. And if I really cannot get my item locally, that's when I import it from overseas, usually from the US or UK, using VPost. And VPost is another horror story in and of itself. I will be covering that perhaps down the road if I just wanted a place to basically have a little tirade where I just sit back, play some games, and just talk about all these bad experiences in life. I can do it. I do enjoy doing it, and perhaps I will have it ongoing. But again, my channel is focused on games with an video that deviates from the norm like this one. So I will not be making it as a continuous series. Maybe here and there you see one or two. Since recently I do have a few tirades that I just want to share here, but I will not be uploading them continuously. I will be focusing on another CSR2 video after this about how to control your car more. But again, after that, I may put one more either about my internship or about my so-called lost package. So I do apologize for this being excessively long. I think 30 minutes, which is a record for me. But again, I'm sorry, but I just want to share it somewhere. And with that said, thank you so much for listening until the end. If you've made it this far, congratulations, I guess. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Stay tuned to my channel and have a great day.